launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, good morning and welcome to the JP Peterson Show on this Thursday. It's been 3 weeks since we jettisoned Byron Leftwich. The Bucs sit here this morning without an offensive coordinator, without a quarterback, unless you're going Kyle Trask. What the hell's going on around here? Well, we'll try and answer that question. We do know one thing. Well, we don't know it, but we kind of know it. Rondé Barber is going to get selected to the Hall of Fame tonight. I had a really good feeling about that. Really, really good feeling about that. We're not reporting anything. We don't know anything, but I got a really, really good feeling about that. So we talked to Rondé a couple weeks ago, and we talked about the Hall of Fame situation, the whole thing. So we're going to replay a little bit of that this morning. Really, really fun interview. So we'll do that for you in our first half hour. We'll get right to that. And Bobby the Chief Taylor is going to join us at 10:30. Big hockey game tonight. Are you going? You got to work tonight.
I got to work.
You got to work? Okay.
Another day of work.
Now we got to get you to a Lightning game soon. Get you a little
I wanted to go on Saturday because I'm off on Saturday.
This Saturday?
And then it hit me that it's an away game.
It's an away game.
It's always an away game when I can go.
Tonight's going to be hopping. Here come the Avs. Last time they were here, those rat bastards skated with a cup on our ice because we didn't have Braden Point.
It's not cool.
We got Braden Point tonight.
He's playing out of his mind, by the way.
I'm going to go on my wagering app and bet something to do with Braden Point scoring a lot of goals tonight or doing something, whatever I can. That's going to be fun tonight. I'm really excited to see that hockey game. So we'll get into that with Bobby the Chief Taylor. Solomon Wilcots will join us from the Super Bowl. We had a chance to talk to him yesterday and record that interview. Solomon was on with us last year at the Super Bowl and kind of broke the news that there was something going on with Brady and Bruce Arians. Remember, we were kind of hearing when I was out there at the Super Bowl, that was kind of the scuttlebutt, which eventually turned into Bruce Arians moving upstairs, and we all know what followed that. So we will revisit that with Solomon this morning. Always great to talk to him. He's the morning anchor of Sirius XM. So if you have that, you're probably listening to him. One of the best in the business. So always enjoy talking with him. So we'll chat with Solomon Wilcots. We'll play that for you in our second hour. And chasing my good friend Pat Burnham to come on to talk about the FSU situation. Mike Norvell gets a nice contract extension yesterday, and now will be paid more than Willie Taggart was getting paid. The first 2 years, it may have been the first 3 years that Norvell was there, they were paying Taggart more money than they were paying Mike Norvell.
Yikes! I think he's the highest paid coach in the state of Florida too, if I'm not mistaken. Now,
is he making more than Cristobal?
I think so.
Well, he's second to Dabo in the ACC, $8.9 million.
Mm-hmm.
For
Cristobal's
college,
$8 million flat
for head college football. He probably makes at least twice what Todd Bowles makes.
That's crazy because I remember writing an article in fall 2021, and it was just like one of those here are the 10 highest paid college head coaches.
Mm-hmm.
8.9 million, and this is fall 2021. It's not far away from this. 8.9 million, I think, would have put you third on that list of the highest paid coaches in college football.
Wow.
In the fall of 2021. Mike Norvell's probably sitting in I don't even know if he's in the top 10, honestly, at this point, with the rate of guys that are getting paid now.
That's crazy.
It's exploded.
It's exploded. And even, coaches' salaries in the NFL now. Sean Payton's going to be making $19 million.
In that ballpark.
$19 million. And I'm like, what the hell just happened there? And one of the reasons is because now they're paying broadcasters $37 million a year in Brady's case, and he still might not even take the gig. So the money is just insane with where the money at the top. But you can make the case, especially in college football, because I think the college football head coaching job now is the toughest job in coaching. The head football coach of a college is the toughest one because you have zero control over the NIL. I won't say zero because in other places, not Florida, they do. The collectives can actually work with the school. So Saban has a lot more control than Mike Norvell. But I'd rather have more control than less control because less control, guess what happens? Florida, Jaden Rashada. So it's you got to navigate the NIL, you got to navigate the transfer portal, and there's not a whole lot of rules and regulations to any of it. You got to literally retain your roster each and every year. You've got to you're going to go through a roster overhaul. Just managing the quarterback position alone would drive me crazy. So these guys are, I hate to say they're worth it, but when you look at how much money they produce when they're winning and what teams produce when they're not in college in terms of ticket sales and all that, they're worth it.
Yeah.
There's
There's 11 coaches now, including Mike Norvell, that are making $8 million or more a season. 11.
Wow.
And all of them are getting paid after, let's be honest, one good year.
Yeah.
Like Mel Tucker, one good year, got paid all that money, and they were awful this year.
Because it's so hard to find one.
Yeah. Josh Heupel got the one really good year now.
Yeah.
And now he gets paid a lengthy extension. Matt Rule just comes right back into college football and walks in with a $9.25 million contract
to Nebraska
to have one of the hardest coaching jobs. And then you obviously
he doubled his salary going to Nebraska, getting fired by the Panthers.
Yeah. It's at the point where like Jim Harbaugh is underpaid.
Yeah.
$7.05 million. If he would have gone to the NFL, I bet you he would have gotten close to Sean Payton numbers.
And we can't pay the players.
Can't pay the players. No. Can't pay the players. And Mr. Fossil, Jim Boeheim, has to complain about it. Can't pay the players.
He was complaining about it?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about with David Zimroff. This whole thing with Boeheim. He was going after
know the backstory of it.
He was going after Purdue, who's like the top team in the nation. All these other teams were paying all this amount of money for players. And he comes out and says, we're only paying our guys like $20,000 a year, as if it's like some kind of flex that he's only paying them $20,000 a year. I'm like, that's not a flex.
Get all those broadcasters that came out of Syracuse to throw some money in the NIL pool. Get Tirico and all these other guys that are making incredible amounts of money to get your NIL pool going. But I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting on this. I think Tulane has done this in football to some degree. I'm still waiting for some, really, really rich benefactor to come from, go support some no-name school in basketball or football and just, put in like $1 billion for NIL and just come out of nowhere.
We sort of just got it with Colorado, did we not?
Yeah, we did. We did. We kind of did. Yeah, we kind of did, but that's more of a, but have their boosters stepped up? I haven't followed it.
I'm not following it as close anymore, but I just feel like because Deion's there, the money's following.
Yeah. Well, Walmart will follow and all these other big businesses that he's cultivated. Yeah. Yeah. So it's coaching in college right now is very, very tough, but I wanted to start off with talking about the Bucs and their quarterback situation and their offense coordinator situation, because does anybody else kind of feel like the Bucs are just sitting on their hands, especially when Derek Carr goes and visits New Orleans and you're like, wait a minute, that's our guy. And I look at that situation in New Orleans and I guess we can underestimate the connection between Allen, the coach who drafted Derek Carr. God, I keep saying David. Drafted Derek Carr. And I don't know what that relationship is with Dennis Allen. It could be good. It could be bad.
I know they drafted him. I know that.
Yeah, it could be good. Could be bad. Right. It didn't go so well.
Well, Dennis Allen got fired.
Right. How long after they drafted him?
The first year. It was 1 year with Derek Carr, his rookie year, and then they fired Dennis Allen.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say that there's some great connection there. There's just connection, obviously. And when you look at the two situations, they're very similar. Both teams are over the cap. NFC South, coaching staffs that are anything but solid, good weapons, although, Kamara is aging and really hasn't been productive and might be suspended for 6 games this year. Michael Thomas is a complete.
Have you seen what his cap hit is next year?
For Michael Thomas?
Yes.
No.
It's $54 million next year. His cap hit.
What are these general managers doing?
I don't know what the specifics are of how that happened, but his projected cap hit next year is $54 million. So he's getting cut this year. And he's played in like maybe 10 games in the last 3 years, if that.
It hasn't been much.
Yeah, he's not going to be
done
there.
much either.
And what do they have behind him? Oh, like Chris Olave. I forgot about him.
Yeah,
Chris Olave, pretty damn good.
Yeah.
What are you throwing to? Chris Olave and Taysom Hill?
Yeah.
Juwan Johnson?
It was a pretty good, an okay offensive line. Kamara. But Kamara's aging, and again, probably going to be suspended for the first 6 games.
He's past his days.
Yeah. I'm looking now. I look at the Bucs, and I'm trying to do this objectively, compare the two teams and the two organizations. And again, I think the Brady factor is a thing. I think if you're David Carr, you want to follow Derek Carr. Golly, I'll just call him Carr. If your Carr, you want to follow in the footsteps of a Tom Brady as opposed to an Andy Dalton. I don't know. Maybe you don't. Maybe there's more pressure. I just look at the different situations and I say, and I do think the city's a factor. I think, do you really want to live in New Orleans right now, folks?
This city's booming right now.
This city's booming, and it's clean, and it's beautiful, and it's safe. And that's not New Orleans. I don't mean to disparage the people of New Orleans or anything like that, but your leadership in your city, I mean, it's disgusting, and it's dangerous, and it's a bad. If I'm Carr, I don't want your car will get carjacked in New Orleans. There's no question about that. So why would you go there as opposed to coming here? And that maybe is leading to my bigger point. Maybe that's what's going on here. Now, Carr is under contract to the Raiders. You have to get permission to speak to him. So far, the Bucs have not obtained said permission to speak with him and his representatives. If they're not speaking through back channels, i.e. tampering, which happens all the time, folks, not to the degree that the Dolphins did it, which was stupid and overt and got exposed with the lawsuit, but whatever. Every team does this in terms of their they're not calling up Carr. They're calling up his representatives or working a back channel and finding out what's going on.
Yeah.
There are players that probably spoke with Carr, Buccaneer players. Now, and there has been smoke about this, there have been reports that he is interested in coming to Tampa Bay. That we've seen that. And why wouldn't he be?
Yeah.
And and if you're Carr, why in the world would you approve a trade at this point? You have them hostage.
No, he's going to screw the Raiders.
Absolutely.
And by all means he should, because they're screwing him.
They screwed him. You don't sit a guy down like that.
But here's the thing with the Bucs, though, and this is why right now it's not even a selling point. He's coming from a place where he has not had great relationships with some of his maybe head coaches and offensive coordinators over the year. I mean, this one was a disaster. I don't think McDaniels liked him from day one.
Right.
And now if you look at Tampa Bay, you don't have an offensive coordinator for him to talk to. You don't have a quarterback's coach for him to talk to. So right now, the Bucs don't really have much leverage to even, it's not the right time right now is what I'm saying, for them to try to get a formal meeting, I guess, in front of everybody, ask permission to sit down with Derek Carr.
For a formal meeting, right.
Yes, and honestly, because the chances of a trade happening I'll just put 1% on it because I guess anything can happen, 1%. We're still, 6 days away from the 15th. There's really not the urgency right now, I think, to get Derek Carr in the building.
Right.
There's really not. And because you're not even at your highest selling point right now.
Especially if you've had conversations with him
behind
back channel and understand. And if you're Jason Light, you know the room. There's no way he's going to approve a trade. Why would he do that? You take away all your leverage. And the only way that he would approve it is if he thinks he's not going to get paid on the market about close to what he's making.
The $40 million.
Right. So, of course he's going to get paid. He's going to get paid.
I don't think it's going to be $40 million though.
Well,
he's coming off statistically his worst year of his career.
Right. But I'll say this. The Bucs will certainly be able to negotiate a deal where he'll get more total money than he's probably got on the books right now, because they would sign him to an extension of, what is he, 30 years old right now?
He's 31.
31. So you hear they would sign him to an extension, probably 3 years extension that would give him more total money and more security. So he's not going to lose any money, but his cap hit's going to be way more palatable for the Buccaneers and allow them to go spend money in other areas, whether it's a right tackle, if they're getting rid of Donovan Smith, which I think is going to happen. It gives them more flexibility. And of course, wherever Carr goes, he doesn't want to strap the team he's going to with giving up some compensation. Why would he do that? Right? That third round pick that you have to give up to get him could turn into a really nice speed receiver on the outside.
Yeah.
So if you have the choice of avoiding every trade, which of course Derek Carr has that ability, why would you not do that? And then you can pick and choose where you want to go, what your contract's going to be, what your situation is. And in this case, since the Bucs have an open coaching staff right now, he can kind of handpick who he wants to work with, who's available, right? So in this situation, maybe that's why they're waiting. So I don't want to go, crazy here on the Bucs for sitting on their hands while Derek Carr is in New Orleans. I just hope he stays there long enough to smell it and see it. And So then if they're sitting back just kind of, okay, and then on the 15th, he gets released, you don't have to give up any compensation. Derek Carr is in your building, and you've already worked out a nice little, here's your OC, here's your quarterback coach. Hey.
Yeah.
I like that situation. I like you. I don't have to give up any compensation to get what I think is a top 10, 15 quarterback in this league. It's already surrounded by good weapons, who has a great leader, is a fantastic leader. And I just think you hit the ground running.
And I did this little exercise here because when I look at quarterbacks and I try to figure out which version of them is the real quarterback, and Colin Cowherd kind of does this exercise, and I kind of like it. He takes out his rookie year, and he takes out his best year. And everything in the middle of that is who you are, right? And I think that's a fair way of evaluating who a quarterback is. So I got 7 seasons here of Derek Carr. And this is actually the last 7 seasons because he had his rookie year, and then his second year in the league was his best year. Derek Carr is literally almost on the dot, a 4,000-yard quarterback in the NFL. 23 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 66% completion percentage, and a 94.2 quarterback rating.
94.2.
That is how I got it here for Derek Carr. If you take out his rookie year and you take out his best season in the NFL, a 53-57 record over that time.
Yeah, the record doesn't bother me.
The record doesn't really bother me because of the Raiders.
The historically bad defense. They have the worst defense over that time period while he's been quarterback. The worst in the league.
And when I hear those numbers, though, I like everything. And obviously the touchdown number is the one thing, like, obviously that's got to be higher. Like, and I mean, like, if you're trying to win something in this league,
yes,
you have to have a quarterback on most situations that's going to throw at least 30 touchdowns, right?
Yeah.
But I would argue that if he comes to a Tampa Bay offense,
and what's his average?
23.
23.
So a little low.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the Raiders have always had a good ground game.
Yeah.
And, maybe their offense hasn't been as prolific as the Bucs has been in the last few years. So there are factors to that as well. He has experience throwing to elite wide receivers. You look at Amari Cooper, he's thrown to. He just threw with Devontae Adams.
Yep.
He's thrown with Hunter Renfrow. He's thrown with Darren Waller. So coming in and stepping in with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, he's experienced throwing to some of those like big body receivers and guys who can get down the field. So I think that's what makes this situation desirable, where if you compare it to New Orleans, like you said, Kamara's likely going to get suspended for 6 games.
Yep.
And is a shell of himself. And he's really not, like, Josh Jacobs is a straight runner of the football, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kamara's not that.
No.
He's a receiving back, kind of a complimentary running back type deal, really.
Right.
And then you have Olave, and then after that, you got really nothing.
Yeah.
And if you bring Derek Carr in, even with their cap situation, I don't know how much wiggle room they're going to have to try to get more targets in there for him.
Right. I think by far the Tampa Bay situation is better.
Either way, New Orleans or Tampa Bay, I think he would love it because look at the division he's coming from, where he has to face Mahomes 2 times a year. He's got to face Herbert 2 times a year. And Denver right now, obviously, looks a lot more better on paper because of Sean Payton. And you come to this division where you're facing Desmond Ridder, who knows in Carolina, and who knows in New Orleans / Tampa Bay.
Right.
So I think this division as a whole might be the most desirable thing for Derek Carr.
You're set up to win right from the jump. Right from the jump, you're set up to win. And that's a big thing in this league. That's a big thing in this league. And I think the Bucs have an opportunity here when you look at their salary cap and some of the players that they're going to jettison. We've done the numbers, right?
Yeah.
They can create about $65 million in cap space. Now, Carr's going to eat up a good chunk of that. There's no question. But if you sign him to a new deal, it's going to be, palatable. You can void a bunch of years down the road. And please don't come at me with, well, eventually you're going to have to pay the bill. Stop. Those things can take care of themselves. You can continue to manipulate the cap and push everything down the road. You can. You know why? Because the cap went up 24 million this year, 20 million.
It's going to keep going.
It's going to keep going up, folks. It's going to keep going up because they have to catch up with the television revenue deals that essentially doubled in the new CBA. That cap was 400 million. The players are 200 million. The cap, the players are entitled to 52% of that revenue. So ergo, the cap has to double within the next 5 to 6 years or close to it. So this is a great time to push everything down the road, a fantastic time to push everything down the road, especially if you have a team that can win right now in a division that is very winnable. And that is the overriding factor to me right now when you're looking at where the Bucs go from here. Most times if you have a team in your division on the rise, because it's always a pendulum, right? Teams are coming up, teams are going down, teams are going right, teams are going left, or pendulum or whatever you want to call it. So, but in this division, it's stagnant right now. They're all trying to find the formula to go up. And in this game, you've got to get to the playoffs, right? You got to get to, that's the number one goal each and every year is to win your division.
And I think everybody would tell you Derek Carr as a Buck would make them the overwhelming favorite in the division.
Of course he would.
Now, does it put you in the Super Bowl conversation? I have my doubts. I have my doubts there, but
show me another scenario that does.
There's not one that
exactly.
It certainly is not. It's not Kyle Trask. Okay,
right.
I don't even think
win a Super Bowl.
I don't
Kyle
even
Trask.
think that. I don't even know if that makes you even a contender in the division.
And then of course, the next sentence is, well, then you got to tear it down and rebuild and get to that point. This is not the time to do that.
There's just too many. There's just too many good players on the roster. Right. There's just
you can't trade Mike Evans because of his cap number. If you trade him, you got to eat $21 million. The guy that heard Rick say that, Rick Stroud on his podcast say that you got to eat $21 million. You're not trading him, and he's still a really good player. So that almost right there. And Godwin is a really, really good player. He's at his peak now. Yes, he's taking hits, but he's also his lack of explosion this year was not from taking hits cumulatively in his career. It's from coming back from a knee injury. But I'm going to tell you what, Chris Godwin at the beginning of next season is going to be a monster.
Yeah,
look
at what he did this year when he was probably about 80% of himself.
Right,
he still had over 1,000 yards. He still had almost 100 catches.
Yeah, he's going to be a monster next year. And again, you go out, you go out in the draft and you find a good receiver, good speed receiver.
And the other thing too is and I think Scott had even mentioned this about, he doesn't think Russell Gage is going to be here, right? And you can make that move if you want to, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm more in favor of giving Russell Gage another shot because I just think he was hurt from the get-go, and I think that killed him.
Yeah.
I still think in regards to separation, I think he's probably, there's a bunch of numbers that show you he was actually getting the most separation of any receiver on the Bucs this season. Russell Gage was.
That's interesting.
That's his specialty.
So
I'm curious to see him with a full healthy off season and try to, not get a hamstring injury in the first week of training camp.
Right.
See how he's going to be. But if they do cut him, I think you'll save $3 million this year. And then next year, you're going to save $10 million by not having him.
Yeah, you got to get rid of him.
So
you got to get rid of him.
When it comes to a game like that, it's a third receiver.
Yeah, and you can find those guys.
Yeah.
And I kind of want somebody younger, faster, and maybe bigger, which you can find in this draft.
You need speed.
Yeah, you need speed. And Devin Tompkins, I think he needs to have a bigger role in this team. He's fast. He's a great competitive catch guy. I just like his moxie. I like his guts. I like a lot about him. He's not the guy that's going to win it for you, but he's a good 4-5 guy that you can really, get kind of a Scotty Miller type from a couple of years ago. All right. So, tonight will be the honors, and the players that will be in Phoenix at the honors dinner, we kind of know this now, are the guys that are probably going to get in the Hall of Fame. They used to have all 15 finalists show up, and then 10 of them would have to with all their families go back to their room and not and be just like, why did I make this trip? So now they've kind of changed it, and the guys that show up at the dinner, you pretty much know those are the ones that are getting in. And Rondé is in Phoenix and is going to be at the dinner tonight. So ergo, we feel like this is a done deal, and I'm so happy for him. Now, we did this interview with him last week or a couple of weeks ago when he was maybe not as sure if he was getting in, but I just think it's a fascinating conversation. So let's listen to that now.
Get to the beginning part of this one.
And by the way, Ron is going to join us tomorrow. That's the plan, unless festivities get out of control tonight. 6 year of eligibility.
Right.
Been a finalist 3 years. The numbers keep going up. Talked to Sal Pal, who's one of the voters, Ira, talked to many of the voters, and it's just, this really feels like it's the year. And now I know it's hard. How do you handle this emotionally is what I'm saying. How do you handle this?
Well, the answer is always in the bottle of some bottle. I can do that on every week before and after this. It's stressful, to be honest with you, JP. And it's not that I don't feel like I'm deserving. Obviously, I'm a finalist for 3 years, and I think the voters understand what my resume looks like. It's just having them, or getting Ira to get them to believe that I was truly unique and deserving of a gold jacket. And it's hard. There's 15 guys every year that are in the same conversation. So I try to handle it gracefully. Last year I was a little miffed, but it's just like John was telling me when he went through his 8 years of waiting. It gets worse and worse.
Oh, it's buffering a little bit here.
Why are we buffering this morning? Technology.
It's never my friend.
Yeah. Well, and by the way, Rondé is also out at Phoenix at the Waste Management as the chairman of the Valspar, recruiting players. He sent me some crazy shots yesterday of the tunnel at 16, the par 3 there. He walked through the tunnel. I'll post those today, and it's so cool what the players walk through. There's signs and there's video boards there that you show the old hole-in-ones just to get them in the mind frame of what's about to happen. We want to move on, or
let me see if I can get this back real quick.
Yeah. So anyway, he's out there recruiting players for Waste Management, the Valspar Championship, which is coming up the 13th through the 16th through the 19th, and that week is going to be crazy, folks. So it's going to be a great field. We're going to get the rooftop going. Rondé's going to be up there, and we'll have a day and all kinds of fun stuff going on. So
I think I got it back.
All right, here we go. You play golf with Fred McGriff, do you not?
I do.
Yeah. So, I mean, he just got in after waiting a long, long time, and it had to wait for the special committee that clearly is a lot smarter than the writers. Of course, we know that. Have you guys shared experiences at all? Have talked about this at all?
Actually, no. It's kind of an unwritten thing that you don't really talk about.
All right. Fair enough.
It's not even a jinx thing. It's I don't want to put it front of mind any more than you have to. Because you just never know. It's something, put it this way, JP, it's something that's completely out of your control. So talking about it only tends to exasperate your frustration a little bit more. So we choose not to talk about it. I remember I texted him an hour after they announced it, less than an hour after they announced it. And his response was in true Fred McGriff's fashion. Thanks, brother. You're next. So that's about the extent of it.
So what you're telling me is shut the hell up about the Hall of Fame. I don't want to talk about it. Let's move on is what you're saying. All right, one last one. You
can spout off my stats and accolades all you want, brother. So just
here we go. So I came up with this little graphic I had to get made because we did this last week. And here's this graphic I put up. It's on my Twitter if you want to see it. It's Barber versus Revis. And by no way are we trying to discredit him at all. He's a Hall of Famer. We know that. I'm just trying to say, okay, if he's a Hall of Famer, can we just look over here for just a second, just kind of look at the numbers a little bit and compare? So let me just run through this, and you can make your facial reactions because it's stunning to me. It's stunning. All right, we'll start with tackles, which, by the way, is the whole point of playing defense. In case we get lost in all the big plays, tackles matter. You had 1,251, and you also told me by the Bucs count, the post official count where they actually watch the tape, it's closer to about 1,500, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Essentially in line with the position I played, which is very similar to Derek Brooks. Yeah. I'm the Bucs' second leading tackler all time. So we did very similar things. He's Derek Brooks.
Just checking on that. Revis had 496. So 1,251 to 496. Interceptions, which of course he's a corner. You were a hybrid, right? As we know, the greatest hybrid ever. 47 interceptions, 29 for Revis. Touchdowns, which I think is a very underrated stat that nobody really talks about with you. 14 non-offensive touchdowns, which, by the way, is the most in the NFL for a guy who was not an offensive player, not a main returner. The three guys in front of you who were defense, but they're Devin Hester, Woodson, and Dion, right? So those guys were all primary return guys. You were not. So that's 14 touchdowns. Tackles for loss, 88 to 9. All right, that's a big stat. Sacks, 28 to 2. Forced fumbles, 12 to 4. Passes defense, 197 to 139. Fumbled recovery, 12 to 12. I don't know how we got so many. Quarterback hits, 18 to 4. And AU, which is kind of a war stat for those, and we won't get in the weeds on this. AU is kind of war, everything combined. 148 total career for Rondé, 110 for Revis. I mean, again, no disparaging him at all, but if he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, what the F are you?
Yeah, it's very similar comparison that you could have made to Champ Bailey when he got in first ballot. I think my only peer kind of doing what I did for my career is Charles Woodson, who was also a first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, Ira will make the case next week when they present to each other that some of those stats are just unprecedented, unheard of for a corner. And my 88 tackles for loss are only like 2 or 3 fewer than Brian Urlacher, who was also first ballot Hall of Famer. So it's impossible, and I think this is probably the voters' consternation with me. It's impossible to compare me to anybody because essentially I did something in the game that's never really been conceived of. And so I feel like if you're one of one, you're Hall worthy, right? Devin Hester is a Hall of Famer in my mind because he's one of one. He's the best to have ever caught a ball from a kicker and returned it. Like there's nobody that's even close to him. So if that's the argument, that's the argument. But I like to say that, people think Brooks, Sapp, Lynch, Hall of Famers. Why do we have so many Bucks in the Hall of Fame? Well, reality is if you put Brooks and Sapp on any other team in the NFL, they're Hall of Famers, right? But because they were unique players, and I just don't think if I'm canvassing for myself, you can say that I am also not extremely unique in what I did. So,
and there you go. I just love, and if you know Rondé, he doesn't brag on himself. He never does. For him to say that about himself, is
I was going to say the key thing there was like I did something that isn't even really conceivable. I think is the word he used in the history of the NFL, which is over 100-year history. Okay, well, if you did something that nobody else has done before, and you did it at a high level as well,
the highest,
then what the hell are we talking about here?
Well, finally,
it's kind of to me, it's the same argument like in MLB where like they love to keep DHs out of the Hall of Fame because they go, oh, that's just a niche thing, right?
You created the position.
Okay, but if you mastered the position,
exactly,
i.e. an Edgar Martinez who had to wait a long time, even though he mastered that position, then why aren't you in?
Yeah, because I'm going to tell you, there are a lot of guys in the Hall of Fame that were terrible defensively.
Yeah,
and they're in on their offensive numbers. And if they played in the designated hitter era, they would have been DHs.
It's the weird thing about Hall of Fames. We don't put DHs in. We don't put closers in. We don't put kickers in. We don't put punters in. Historically, we don't put kick returners in, even though one's about to go in. Well, why is that?
It's silly. It's silly, and that's the bottom line. All right, and we're fairly really confident that Rondé's going to go in tonight. So I want to watch. We'll be watching that tonight and just see the reaction and everything. It's going to be fun. All right, quick break. When we come back, we'll also be watching and working at the Lightning game tonight as they welcome in the Stanley Cup champion Avs. Bobby the Chief Taylor joins us next to talk some Lightning hockey. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group and BAMMC.com, Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Back in 3. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group. I've known Scott Jeeves for quite some time, and he's just like us, a huge college football fan. He loves his Gators. In fact, he sponsors our Gator Report every Thursday at 11 o'clock with Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com. But he's not just another PI attorney. He is a ferocious advocate for his clients. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in Tampa Bay for over 30 years. He is an AV preeminent rated civil trial lawyer and certified circuit court mediator. Folks, these designations are not just given out. They're given only to the best trial attorneys. But more than anything, Scott takes these cases personally. I've heard it from his clients. He's a fighter you want on your side. Insurance companies hate it when they see you're represented by Jeeves. He's just different. 727-894-2929 or go to JeevesLawGroup.com. That's JEEVES lawgroup.com and tell him JP sent you.
Attention, if you are home shopping or looking for a refinance, and even if you already have the approval letter, you must call my man Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Scott has a brand new program available in the greater Tampa Bay area called the Community Advantage Loan Program. Get this, no money down, no mortgage insurance, no points, no origination fee, purchase or refinance, and loan amounts up to $647,000. Now, there are some application requirements. It must be a single-family home, 1 unit, primary residence, and have a minimum 640 credit score. The program only applies to certain neighborhoods, so you have to call to find out if you qualify. So call Scott Fitzgerald at 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com. Now, even if you don't qualify for that program, Scott will shop your loan around, get you the best rates, and won't charge you the huge upfront fees. And if you've had issues with your bank calling you back, Scott will return calls immediately or
field and great fun. Tickets are on sale now at valsparchampionship.com for all tournament days, both grounds tickets and premium ticket options. You don't want to miss the 2023 Valspar Championship.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show with JP on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. We got a big hockey game coming up tonight. We are brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group and Bay Area Modern Medical Center and the Gold and Diamond Source. And we have got The champs coming in with some jewelry of their own tonight. That's the Colorado Avalanche, who stole our Stanley Cup and on our own home ice. So there will be a little energy in the building, no doubt. So we welcome in our good friend Bobby the Chief Taylor, who joined us now, Lightning analyst, Bally Sports. What's up, Chief? How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. Yes.
Yeah, you ready and jacked up for a little Stanley Cup Finals rematch tonight? This should be fun, right?
I think so. Yeah. And Colorado's starting to get healthy again. Boy, I've never seen a team that get as many major players out with injuries, and you can understand why they're hovering around 500 with their record, but it should be good anyway. Let's put it this way. Both teams are motivated. They don't have to be jacked up at all because Colorado wants to prove that last year's championship wasn't a fluke, and the Lightning want to prove that they now with Braden Point back in the lineup, they can do a better job against them.
And Braden Point's had some really good success against Colorado. He led the Bolts in scoring last year in their regular season games. Of course, he missed the finals or most of it. So, and he's really starting to play well, right, Chief? I think right now you'd have to say, something like 20 goals in his last 29 games. He's really, and he looks so fast out there. He's going to be such a major difference tonight. Just talk about Point's game tonight and what you expect from him.
He is such a good player, and you can ask Eric Erlandson that does the pregame skate with me, JP, and about how upset I get with the people in the North that have no idea how good a player this guy is. They don't even pay attention to how good he is. He's never mentioned in the top 5 or 6 players in the league. And it just really upsets me because this kid is incredibly good. He's got great hands. He's got great vision. His speed is incredible in his stops and starts and changing direction. They tie defensemen to knots, and you can really notice it when you play teams that you don't get to see him very often, especially from the West.
Mm-hmm.
And they're wondering, whoa, how does he do that? Type of thing. But for me, he's such a catalyst out there. The whole game is built on speed, and one of the things that really helps them is, and especially with the power play, because if you're not winning the face-off in the power play because it's in your offensive zone, now they get the puck down the ice, and now you got to come in and you got to get the entry into the offensive zone. His speed backs off defensemen. I don't care what team it is. You don't see them protecting the blue line really stiffly like they do other players, except when Point comes down, he backs almost every defense cord on any team back off that blue line, and that really helps you get back into that zone.
Well, he'll be highly motivated tonight. And this team in general, Chief, you go into the break and you're at home and you beat the Wild, the Kings, and the Bruins. Then you get 9 days off and you come out and you lose to 2 teams that are out of the playoffs, and the San Jose, who had the 5th worst point total. Now, in the Florida game, you just throw out, right? The game with San Jose, they outshot them 37-22. They pretty much dominated the game. They just didn't win it. So I don't think I'm too concerned about that. But the bottom line is you got 1 point out of those 2 games, and now you got Colorado at Dallas at Colorado. 3 games in a row. You could be sitting here, with 1 point in 5 games out of the break. So this becomes a pretty damn big game tonight, especially at home, right?
No question, because your road record isn't that outstanding.
Right, exactly.
It's what are we, 500?
Around there,
maybe even under that now.
Yeah.
But for me, and this is a very tough part of the schedule. It even gets worse in March, where you play every second day, and the first 3 weekends you play back-to-back games, Saturday and Sunday. So you're going to have a really tough schedule coming up. So you can't really afford to lose too many games right now. For me, I know they've got a little bit of a cushion on that 3rd spot, but that could disappear in a hurry if you put a long string of losses together.
Do you have any concerns about what you've seen the past couple of nights with the first 2 games? Anything pop up at you?
Well, yeah, I was kind of disappointed in the sense about, Florida just overwhelmed them. They just were not ready to play.
Right.
And Florida, even though they don't have a real good record right now, Florida's a good team. I've been just puzzled to death about how badly they've been playing this year with a team that won the President's Trophy last year. And I think Barkov's been in and out of the lineup. That's a big factor, but I don't think their goaltending has been as good for them this year as it was last year. But now you can San Jose, when you take a look at where it was that they really got beat was the power play. Their power play, the Lightning's that is, they had 4 power plays in the last 40 minutes and never got one shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, this is the thing that, and, I think that was the one thing that really hurt them, was their special teams. And then they gave up 2 power play goals on shorthanded on face-off circle. JP, you've heard me moan and groan about the face-off circle forever now. And it's a very, very important part of the team right now. When you're playing a game that really relies on puck possession, where does it start?
Right.
The face-off circle. And if you're not really winning them, that's the biggest problem. And I think that's where they really fell down with their power play, because the last part of it, they didn't win. I think they were 4 for 13 on the face-offs on the power play. So, that's not even 50%. So you got to do a little bit better in that area. And I think that's what really hurt them a lot, was the special teams kind of let them down.
And the power
against
play,
San Jose.
Yeah, and the power play, I believe in the last 9 games, I think it's 3 for 28. So, and I know, obviously during it's an 82-game season, there's going to be ebbs and flows throughout the season on special teams. But are you noticing, is it something that other teams are doing? Are they being more aggressive on the Lightning? Are they just not shooting enough? What do you think is the reason why right now it just seems like it's in a funk?
Well, I think sometimes we have a tendency to overpass. They always want to make it be that wide open, pretty goal all the time. And players are cheating towards Stammer more now than anything. I think Cooch has to shoot a little bit more often. What you're trying to do, players are very good at adapting, and I call it cheating, because you're going to see one guy that you're going to have to, like, for me, of all guys to leave open, in which they did constantly against San Jose, was Erik Karlsson.
Right.
I mean, the first goal, there was nobody near him for 20 feet, and he walked right in and got that first goal on the power play just with a bomb. You don't want those guys to beat you. That's what other teams are doing. They don't want Stammer's shot to be the biggest problem on the power play or when their penalty kill, because they know that he can score, and he scores a bunches from there. So the other guys have to start getting the shots. And another thing, you have to get the shots through. I think San Jose has some 18 or 19 block shots in that game. So, you got to get the shots through as well. Even though they did outshoot the Sharks, they most of the time on the power play, they weren't good in the face, and they couldn't get the shots through. So it's not how hard you shoot the puck sometimes in the power play. It's where you put it and how often you can get it through to the goal.
Yeah. Bobby the Chief Taylor joining us here from Bally Sports, Lightning analyst. And the trade deadline is coming up, Chief. Is there a weakness that you see on this team that Brisebois might want to address? You see some moves being made. Horvat traded to the Islanders. There'll be some more moves made. Other teams are going to make moves. Obviously, the Bolts don't have a whole lot of salary cap room, but that never seems to stop Julien Brisebois. Do you think he'll make some moves at the deadline? What do you anticipate?
Well, he has for the last 3, so
Yes.
I wouldn't expect him not to if he can do it. I think what they really need is they need a very strong checking forward. We made that deal for that line of Gord and Goodrow and Coleman were outstanding checking. This is kind of knocking it, I guess, but our line that's supposed to be the checking line is Bellemare, Perry, out there along with
Bellemare, Perry.
not Colton, Nemestikov.
Yeah.
Well, if they're your checking line and they're the highest minuses on the team, they're not. The checking isn't there.
Yeah.
It's just, I think he's going to have to look for some defensive help, whether it be a defensive forward or another defenseman. I think that might, if they can swing something like that, that might be where you might want to shore up.
And Luke Shen might be that guy because he fits in the cap standpoint. So that might be the move that they make, and it would be a good one. So we'll see what happens with that. All right, Chief, great stuff as always, my friend. Hope everything's going well at the house there. We're getting the renovation done. Everything good?
Yeah. We finally got moved in here, so it's just about like 99.9%. Yeah, done.
Congratulations.
Now I just got to find a way to. Yeah, I just got to find out how to pay for it now, JP. So that's the biggest thing.
Always off time and over budget. That's the way they do it. All right, man.
You got it.
Appreciate it. Well, I think Jeff Vinnick just bought a nice little penthouse, so he'll have some extra room somewhere. I don't know. He's got like 6 houses. Yeah, so yeah. No,
I think he likes dogs too, doesn't he?
He does. All right, partner. We'll see you at the rink tonight. Thanks, buddy.
You got it. Take
Bobby
care.
Chief Taylor there. Yeah, Jeff Vinnick bought that condo at the top of the Addition.
Didn't I hear like $8 million?
Yeah, $8.6 million. He's got the 2-lot house on Palmacia that I hit my drive in on 16 all the time in his yard. Maybe that's why he's moving. So now he's got the one. I guess he'll move into that.
I don't know what it's like to have the money that Jeff Vinnick does. So all power to you, but I refuse to believe there's a condo out there that is worth $8.6 million.
Well, actually,
I refuse to believe.
There's one on Bayshore that is already under contract and I guess hasn't closed yet. That's going to break the record at $11 million. And compared to some of the ones in the Northeast and in Miami, that's cheap.
I guess so.
It's cheap. Well, I thought he owned all those buildings down there. Like that's Water Street.
I thought so too.
So why is he buying it? Doesn't he own the building?
Side note, by the way, I rerouted myself getting here to work lately.
Yeah. So
now I drive through Water Street coming here.
Yeah.
And I have to say,
it's beautiful.
I like it.
It's beautiful.
I hate it when I'm going on the Selman. I just look and it looks like an eyesore to me. But I've been down there lately, and I kind of look around, and people are all walking their dogs, and it looks really nice. There's more room than I thought, so I'm all for it now. There you go.
Okay,
it's beautiful.
It is. It's nice, and they have a market down there every Sunday morning now. So of course I live downtown, so I can just walk right over there. Yeah, there's in the new restaurant, Jeff Gigante's. Boulan. I have not been there yet, so I got to get over there. Titus O'Neill also is one of the owners there, so that's all the rage. And you got to go take. Casey has to take a picture on the staircase in the Tampa Edition because that's the law.
Oh, don't give her any ideas.
Every girl, if you don't have the Tampa Edition spiral staircase picture walking up there, then you're incomplete as a Tampa resident. I got to get Ashley over there and get a nice picture of her. She'll look stunning on that staircase. So yeah, he bought that condo at the top. So I guess he can be overlooking his own arena and all that stuff and living downtown. I'm trying to say, would I want the golf course home or the penthouse with all the views?
Ooh.
Again,
I'm always going to pick the home over the condo though.
Right. I think.
How about neither? I wouldn't want neither. Actually, I don't want the condo and I don't want to live on a golf course because I feel like living on a golf course turns you into like one of those like really like, I don't know, what's the word? Well, I'm trying to think of the word right now.
The thing is, there's always somebody in your backyard.
It's that in my experience of golfing on courses that have houses everywhere, I see so many older people generally who are just sitting there on their back porch, just watching and waiting for somebody to hit it into their yard so they could raise hell. I don't know if the word you describe those people. I'm not saying that's Jeff Vinnick. I'm just saying I feel like that turns you into one of those people all the time.
Get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn, guy. There you go.
Sorry, I hit a hook. Yeah, I don't know. I guess also you get tired of the maintenance of the house. Not that he's mowing the lawn, but I've lived in both, and the problem with being in a building is you have lots of neighbors all over.
Yes,
and they're right.
And I wouldn't if I live all the way in a penthouse at the top.
Now it has its own elevator.
Still constantly going up an elevator and back down. Like,
yeah.
No, I did dorm living like that. It's not fun.
Yeah. I bet that thing's really nice. And I love the view. Nice. I love the view, water views. Now, if I had that much money, I would have a house on the water, like on the water.
I would be.
Like I would, if I were him, I'd do one of the Davis Island homes, like right on the open bay, the where Brady was living, the big ones like Derek, like Jeter's. That to me,
you're so material.
That would no, I'm not. But that would be my favorite.
If I had the money that Jeff Vinnick has, you wouldn't hear from me. You wouldn't see me. I'd have no neighbors. I'd be out in the middle. I love my little fish hawk community. I'd be out there somewhere on a piece of land.
He's working. He's going to the office every day. It's downtown.
Yeah, it's convenient.
So I don't want to be.
You know what?
I don't want to have any kind of travel or commute or anything. So
hey, You know what, though? And I don't even, I'm going to go to break after I say this, so you have no chance to respond, okay? I'm going to cut you off. Jeff Finnick at least gets points for being an owner that lives here.
Damn right.
And that invests in this community.
Damn right.
So with that.
Diatribe coming on the other side. No, he can do whatever the hell he wants. That's for damn sure. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back, and we'll talk a little bit more about the Bucs situation. Trent Dilfer made some comments the other day that were that I really wanted to dive into about how he's not that impressed with Brady and Rodgers, the numbers that they're putting up later in their career. Trent Dilfer said that. And I love Trent Dilfer as an analyst. And I think it's interesting. He gets taking a lot of flack for it, but I think he's kind of right. So we'll get into that and more right after this. It's the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center and the Jeeves Law Group. Stay with us.
JP here for Italiano Insurance. If you've started a side hustle during COVID and the business has grown, well, you need business insurance, because if you get sued, you could lose all your personal wealth if you're not properly protected. That's right. Your home, your savings, everything could go. So get protected now. Call the great agents at Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799, and a real human will answer the phone and get you protected. If you haven't shopped your business insurance in a while, you could be overpaying by thousands. One customer had their golf buddy handling his business insurance, then called Italiano to shop it around, and they saved him $26,000 a year. Yeah, so call 813-877-7799 or go to ItalianoInsurance.com. Italiano Insurance, protecting all the pieces of your life for over 60 years.
The boys are back. The PGA Tour's Valspar Championship returns March 16th to the 19th with 4 days of incredible golf plus a host of activities that make it Tampa Bay's hottest spring sports ticket. There is more to the Valspar than just great golf. It's the Hooters Owl's Nest, the Snake Pit Club, accessible by premium tickets, and other great venues throughout the course for those with ground tickets. And new in 2023 is the Rooftop, a new prestigious venue at the 18th green with music, food, and fun. Plus, you never know who you're going to see at the Rooftop. Tickets are on sale now at ValsparChampionship.com for all tournament days, both grounds tickets and premium ticket options. You don't want to miss the 2023 Valspar Championship.
Attention, if you are home shopping or looking for a refinance, and even if you already have the approval letter, you must call my man Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Scott has a brand new program available in the greater Tampa Bay area called the Community Advantage Loan Program. Get this, no money down, no mortgage insurance, no points, no origination fee, purchase or refinance, and loan amounts up to $647,000. Now, there are some application requirements. It must be a single-family home, 1 unit, primary residence, and have a minimum 640 credit score. The program only applies to certain neighborhoods, so you have to call to find out if you qualify. So call Scott Fitzgerald at 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com. Now, even if you don't qualify for that program, Scott will shop your loan around, get you the best rates, and won't charge you the huge upfront fees. And if you've had issues with your bank calling you back, Scott will return calls immediately, or at least the same day. 813-294-7595 or email him, scott@amstampa.com. Scott Fitzgerald, MLS 386722, American Mortgage Services, 1000 North Ashley Drive, Suite 1020, Tampa, Florida.
Hey, folks, it's still engagement season, and where better to get that special ring than the Gold and Diamond Source. The Gold and Diamond Source has the largest selection of engagement rings in the country, a literal jewelry super center with 30 times the inventory of any normal jeweler. You don't have to wait to spend any extra time waiting for them to bring something in. They have everything right there in-house, so why go anywhere else? And you can get up to 15% off this January if you buy something with the birthstone, which is garnet. Garnet and gold, Florida State, get something for your favorite Seminole. And let's not forget the Emily collection from Emily Johnson Weintraub. Very affordable, real gold and diamond jewelry, always stylish and unique. Emily has created this fashion-forward gold, diamond, and gemstone jewelry line ideal for everyday wear. Each piece is designed to enhance your look by featuring eye-catching, modern geometrical shapes. Really unique stuff. Got to check it out. And, of course, Julie and Steve Weintraub, great benefactors here in the local community. So let's keep it local. And you can get 0% financing for up to 5 years. Get a big ring for a little price. It's the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Let's rock. This is FanStream Sports with JP.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. Solomon Wilcots from the Super Bowl coming up in the 11 o'clock hour. We're going to talk some Brady from his perspective. He does the Sirius XM NFL show in the morning. Of course, they've been watching the Bucs all year. Had some very interesting thoughts on what the Bucs went through this year with Tom Brady and where they go next with quarterback and all that good stuff. So that's coming up in our 11 o'clock hour. We'll do that for you. Want to remind you that the Valspar Championship is coming up in March 16th through the 19th. Get your tickets now. All the premium seating will probably sell out as it has the last few years, so get on it. The Hooters Owl's Nest, the Snake Pit, the new rooftop, which is going to be all over 18 on the roof, and that's going to be a really, really fun place to happen. There'll be some really interesting things announced in the next week or so after Rondé gets back from the Waste Management, where he's doing some scouting out there. Boy, watch that this week. That's 16. Oh, what an absolute crazy event that is. Anyway, we'll have the same energy at the Valspar, or hopefully close to it. And so come on out and join us. ValsparChampionship.com is where you get your tickets. I forgot to ask Chief about the possibility of the outdoor game coming to Raymond James Stadium next year against the stinking Panthers. And I heard Paul Delgado last night on Fox 13 talking about the humidity, and that's what's hard to make ice outside. And don't forget, we had rain in Nashville.
Yeah.
So but they still get it done. I don't know how the hell they do it, but they can make ice.
They did it in LA.
Yeah.
And they did it can't get any worse than Lake Tahoe, can it?
No,
that was a disaster.
That was a disaster, yeah. But they still played the game. They got it done. So I mean, you're rolling the dice.
Yeah.
You're gonna be able to play the game.
Well, they said it would be fluid. I feel like it could be one of those things where, and when I say fluid, like I don't know if they can do like where they tentatively schedule it for like a certain day, and then they can kind of adjust maybe when they get there.
That's a big setup, or at least so you could look at the weather. Like say it's going to happen. Oh God, it's so
I feel
hard
like
to do.
This year would have been great because it feels like we've had more winter days, really cold winter days than usual this year.
Yeah. In January, I think it's funny. While Tom Brady was here, they were entertaining it because there could possibly be games in January and a few of them. And you're going to need a nice open window in order to do it at Raymond James Stadium. So now, Brady's gone, we can do it. It scares you a little bit. But I just think it would be awesome. We've packed the place, Raymond James Stadium. I get to do my Lightning Hockey Night live at Ray J. That would be fun. Yeah, well, let's go. Let's freaking go. But they can do the ice, so it's a matter of degrees whether it's going to be good or bad. But, what the hell?
I'm for it.
Who's against it?
I don't think anybody would be against it.
Yeah. And we get the Panthers in here. That would be just a spectacle. So let's hope that happens. And why wouldn't it happen? I think obviously the Lightning deserve it. They've done it in some warm climates, so why not? Let's get it going. All right. Wanted to mention also these comments from Trent Dilfer. Did you see this? It was in the documentary.
Yeah, I watched the whole documentary.
Oh, you did? Okay. I think you did actually mention this the other day, where he basically said playing quarterback in this league now is so much different than it was back when he played. Was he the number one overall pick in 95, I believe, or from the Buccaneers, or their first round pick, not number one overall. I think it was sixth overall. He said that, playing against that Baltimore defense, and that was kind of what the context was really, really hard.
Yeah. Well, we have the sound here. We can play it.
Oh, you good? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Modern day game does not impress me. It's super easy when you don't get hit as a quarterback and when you can't reroute receivers and when you can't hit guys across the middle. I love Tom Brady. I love Aaron Rodgers. I love these guys. It's not impressive. What's impressive is what they did.
Not the only venue you're going to get applause in that, and not like, "Whoa, what the hell are you talking about?" And I think you to add some more context to it. He's talking more about the numbers where it used to be a 3,000-yard passing season was pretty damn good. Now 4,000 is just almost expected, and it's almost not enough. It's almost not enough. 5,000. You got to get to 5,000, 4,800 for it to be actually a good year. So listen, and I know this is going to come off as a guy with, sour grapes looking at those guys, but he has a point. I mean, the game was way different and the game was way harder offensively to play. And what Rodgers and Brady have done is take advantage of the rules. So, good on them.
Adapt or die.
Adapt or die. So, but he's right. And you go back and look at some of the tape of even the late 90s. I mean, you want to go back to, when Stabler was playing and some Bradshaw was playing, you could pick the quarterback up and dump him on his head 4 or 5 times in one play. You're not getting a call.
Well, there in that documentary, there's a lot of deal time spent on the 2000 AFC Championship game, which was Ravens and Raiders, which I'm not sure if you would remember this. You might, of Rich Gannon getting hit early in the game by Tony Siragusa.
Yes.
And Tony Siragusa just straight up fell with him. And I mean, obviously, other than William the Fridge Perry, I don't know if there was ever a bigger defensive lineman in the history of the NFL.
No.
Fell completely on him, and Gannon got taken out of the game, and he didn't play the rest of the game, and the Ravens won.
Yeah.
And there was no penalty on that. And nowadays, Tony Siragusa would be thrown out of the game. He'd be fined. He'd probably be suspended. I mean, it would be everything. And nothing happened then. And this was 20 years ago.
And is the game better for it? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Listen, I don't.
But to outlaw this penalty of falling on the quarterback,
it is dumb.
Stupid.
It is dumb. And now they're talking about removing the Tony Pollard hit, whatever they called it.
Oh, the hip slide tackle, the hip slide tackle. Man. Now we're going to take that out of the game. How do you even legislate that? How do you even legislate? You know what a horse collar is. You can tell what a horse collar is. But to the hip drop tackle, that's the one where you kind of come from the side or behind.
Yeah.
You grab the guy around the waist and you kind of fall on his legs.
Yeah.
And it causes injuries. Like Mahomes was kind of like that. The problem is it's way too subjective.
Yeah.
Way too subjective.
And I think this goes for all sports, though, in regards to like safety. And the NFL does this so much because, there's always people on the outside that are chatting about it. So they feel the pressure. They're looking for perfection in a world that's not perfect.
Right.
There is no perfect situation that you're going to eliminate every injury in the NFL. This is football.
And when the remedy
it's meant to be physical
is worse than the issue.
And you're almost making guys get hurt more because you're making them tackle different ways. Now they're going lower. And that's even, to me, that's just as dangerous.
Well, here's, the thing that Carlton Davis said after the DeMar Hamlin incident. All right. I thought it was a great point that he brought up. The guy that tackled him, and I'm trying to remember that was involved in the play on DeMar.
He tackled T. Higgins.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So T. Higgins. So DeMar had been penalized earlier in the game or maybe the previous week for hitting too low or with his helmet.
Yeah,
with his helmet. So what he said is this is what's problem for defensive backs now is we have to come in, we're coming in high and we can't protect ourselves. So T. Higgins put his helmet into DeMar's chest, whereas DeMar would normally come low and get his pads involved and protect himself.
Yeah.
He kind of left himself open with his head up and he gets the helmet to the heart or the chest, right? And Carlton was saying that's part of the problem. Guys are trying to play the game unnaturally and it got him hurt and almost killed him. And you can debate that whether you want, but Carlton Davis plays the game and is out there doing these hits. It's running through his mind. So some of these things that we're trying to make the game safer are not making the game safer. So we have to be very careful about this. And I agree with you. They want, don't let the good be perfect.
It's a bunch of people who don't watch the NFL.
Yeah.
They don't watch the NFL.
And have never played it.
You
would never, the players with all of these safety things that are going in, I would say, and I talked to the players about this, I would say probably 65 to 70% of the stuff that they come up with, the players don't like. They don't like it. Yeah, they don't like it.
How do the quarterbacks like it?
The quarterbacks love it because they can't be touched, but everybody else hates it. Everybody else hates it. And, like the roughing the passer rule, and I said that we need to have a running into the passer call. These roughing the passer calls where a guy goes up to block the pass and gravity brings him down on top of the quarterback and his elbow grazes the helmet. They have to call a 15-yard penalty when nobody was hurt.
Yeah.
Nobody was in. There was no intent, no nothing. That should be a 5-yard running. It should be no penalty, number one. But it should be at most a 5-yard running into the quarterback because these are game-changing plays, especially at the end of the game.
Yeah, and it kind of
it's not making it safer.
It almost segues into what Godell. I don't know if you heard Godell's comments yesterday at the Super Bowl. He was asked about officiating.
Yeah,
and he defended the league and said officiating right now is as good as it's ever been. Right, and it sounds
what a State of the Union.
It sounds completely tone deaf, but at the same
Statement that was.
time, for what he's asking of his officials, he probably says, you know what, they're legislating what I want legislated, so they're doing a good job. In the eyes of us, we don't think they're doing a good job. And the other thing that's weird about officiating the league, and I didn't know this until last week, the NFL, with its $15 billion revenue, right, the most popular sports league in the entire United States, they're the only league that doesn't pay their refs a good wage to the point where all these guys have other jobs. They're not even full-time refs.
Well, I think they get paid. I think they make like $250,000 a year.
That's not what I was hearing this week.
$200,000.
A lot of these guys have like.
Well, they all have, but they're not full-time officials.
They're not full-time officials. That's my point.
Yeah, they're not full-time officials, and they're paying them a crap load of money. And I think, yes, I think they should overhaul it and get guys in there that have played the game. This is my big problem. All these guys are 90% of them are attorneys, but they all officiate it.
But to the point about the money thing, this was interesting too, because I wrote this yesterday. Aaron Rodgers had a comment, I think last week on McAfee about officiating, and he came out and said, the best officials that we have in the game are all in the broadcast booth now, because they're the best of the best, and now they're on TV because why?
They get paid more money. Yeah.
It's like he mentioned like Gene Steratore and like Terry McCauley. All these guys he said are like the best refs that we've ever had, but they're no longer in the game because there's no incentive for them to be in the game anymore. They can go talk about it on TV and get way more money.
And you know what? The fact that we have to have an official in the booth to explain all the rules and the intricacies of the rules is a problem. That's a problem. Your sport should be simple enough where you don't have to have an expert who reads through a 10-volume rule book to, quote, interpret what is a catch and what is not a catch. To me, this is the part of replay that has ruined the game. It ruins the flow of the game. The officials have become way bigger in this game than they ever were. I'm old enough to remember when we didn't have replay. And I'm trying to say, well, you remember all those terrible calls that you used to bitch and moan about at the game that were game-changing that you would remember years and years afterwards? I'm like, no, I don't. You don't. You don't remember them. Were there bad calls? Yeah. But it's like, okay, this is football. They missed the call. You move on. And the problem is they're doing replay and they're still getting it wrong. That's
the thing. And it's in every sport. Every sport does replay and they still get it wrong.
They still get it wrong. I mean, I want to go back.
Who's in charge of when they, especially like in like the NHL, when they go, they're speaking to Toronto. Who the hell's who's in Toronto? Who are we talking to?
Right.
What makes them legislate the game
Why is
more?
New York in the
Who's
ear
New York?
of every
Who's Toronto?
Yeah.
Who are these people?
It's like some guy.
Have they played the game?
Probably not. And that's the biggest
Or
problem.
are they just turning to page 64, rule 2A? Yeah, what are they doing?
It's like going to it's like going to court now to watch these games. I have to have a judge come on and tell me what the actual law says. And then, and then there's a ruling, and then we're sitting there, drinking more beer. Maybe that's the whole part of it. It's just, it's gotten so onerous and it's taken over the game.
Yeah.
When we're talking about the officials all the time.
To the point though about Trent Dilfer, when he said that, listen, Tom Brady though, I think Trent's forgetting this. Tom Brady still played in the era for a few years where you could still do all these things that Trent Dilfer was talking about. And we can debate if he was a game manager or not during that time, but you know what? He won 3 Super Bowls during that era. Okay, I think he did just fine for himself. Peyton Manning, he played through that entire era. He was really good then in 2001. And guess what? In 2014, when he threw 55 touchdowns, he was really good then as well. I don't agree with the logic there. I think, and this is a common thread in a lot of sports where people always say, oh, it was tougher in my day. I'm not disputing that. But don't diminish the talent of a Tom Brady.
No.
Don't diminish the talent of an Aaron Rodgers. No. And listen, when it comes from somebody of Trent Dilfer, who, what credentials does Trent Dilfer have to go off of to say these things?
Well,
nothing.
He played the game at a high level. He won a Super Bowl, and he did
not play the game at a high level.
He was in the NFL, the highest level.
Okay, true. But when he was in the context of the NFL, he did not play at a high level compared to everybody else.
He wasn't a great quarterback. I'm saying the highest level of football you can play, he played. He played in the league. He knows how hard it was, and it's much harder for him because he didn't have the skill set that the other two guys had. So I don't think he's talking about that. I just think he's talking about, and I think in the context of the numbers, he's talking about in completions, racking up all these huge numbers that's not impressive to him. But if you ask him, and he did say in the context since then, those are the two best quarterbacks I've seen play, or among the two best quarterbacks I've seen play. So I think he's referring to just the numbers that these guys are piling up. I think that's not to their, whether they were impressive quarterbacks.
Well,
of course,
you tell me. You've been around. You were watching Larry Zonker run a football.
I
crying out loud.
I was.
You tell me, which product of football do you enjoy? The modern game, or did you enjoy what you watched in the 70s? I miss
the run. I miss the physicality of the run game. I think it distinguished teams in a way that we don't have anymore. I think. Listen, it's a gladiator sport. It's a gladiator sport, and that's why people love football. And it's become less so. And of course, if you sit on here and talk about, I'm not saying we want more injuries, but it's a collision sport. You're never going to make it foolproof and safe. We want to make it safe for our players. Well, it's not a safe game. And if you're timid and you don't want to play it, don't play it. Don't play the game. These people know the players. I'm talking about. You talk to the players about this. The CTE thing is a different deal. The NFL lawsuit is different because it's what the NFL hid from the players. They knew the information. Correct. And they hid it from them. That's why they lost the lawsuit. The players now know about CTE. They know how to protect themselves. Rondé Barber will tell you this. Rondé Barber never got a concussion because he never tackled with his helmet. There are ways to do this. There's bad form tackling going on. There's ways to do this, and we need to usher in those ways.
I think that's a bigger issue, and I've heard this from a lot of youth football, high school football coaches, college coaches, pro coaches. They don't teach the game the same way they did 50 years ago, 40, 30 years ago. They don't teach you how to tackle properly, and I think that goes into it as well.
Yeah.
And you could say that about a lot of sports. There's not a lot of good teaching going on at the lower level. There's bad habits that come all the way up, and nobody wants to have tough conversations and hard conversations anymore to correct these things.
Yeah. I think the way we're officiating the game now and the rules, it just has become a complete passing league. And running backs are marginalized. The run game itself is marginalized. A well-blocked run play, to me, is
very nice.
Is pure orchestra symphony to watch these huge guys moving in concert and making the blocks and the timing, and you open the hole. I mean, to me, that's just as exciting as a deep touchdown pass. But that's me.
That's too. But I'm just saying, I go back
watching
and watch
Mike Allstott do what he did in the fourth quarter.
It's fantastic.
If that's not entertaining football to you,
it is.
Then I'm just. And you don't see that. You won't see a Mike Allstott again anymore. You won't see that. And I miss those days. Does that make me a bloodthirsty
old head?
I mean, God, they're still carting people off the field. It's always going to be this way in the collision sport. Do some common sense things to make it safer. But where the NFL's going with this is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Where to hit guys, how to hit guys. In certain, there have been some good things that they've done. The targeting, yes, absolutely. That you've got to penalize that, but it's got to be done in the right way. I think Trent's point though is it is made way easier now to put up 5,000 yards than it ever was. And I
will say that. I will say when I go back and look at the historicalness of the NFL and I look at Dan Marino, was it 1984?
Yeah.
The fact that he put up 5,000 yards, right? In 1984.
Yeah.
It is pretty amazing. So when people go and say, well, Dan Marino, when people make that argument, Dan Marino's the most talented quarterback I've ever seen. I hear the argument because he did something that nobody had ever done before in 1984.
Right.
I get that.
Man, I've never missed a game. Duper and Clayton, those guys. Oh my God, he could throw the ball. It is so beautiful to watch. That guy was just an absolute maestro. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to hear from Solomon Wilcots, who we caught up with at the Super Bowl. Yesterday, we recorded this interview. Lots of good stuff about what he saw this year from the Buccaneers and where they should be going next. We are brought to you by the Gold and Diamond Source. Hey, it's Valentine's, right, guys? Don't screw this up. They got a gift card match going on over at the Gold and Diamond Source. They have the best selection. They have the best staff. If you don't know what to buy, and that's always in my case, just go there. They'll find something great for you in your budget and then make it so easy for you, and you'll get great value. And you keep the money local, which is something that we love to do. They are got such great benefactors in this area. So go to the Gold and Diamond Source for your Valentine's Day shopping. All right, back at 3. Stay with us.
time to make sure your home insurance is in order. In the last year, many of us have made improvements to our homes. So call the folks at Italiano and discuss these upgrades to make sure you have enough coverage. According to a recent report, almost 64% of homeowners don't have enough insurance on their home, which is their most valuable asset. Also, a great time to make sure you have flood insurance. Even if your mortgage company does not require flood insurance, your home could still be at flood risk. Another big item as we enter hurricane season is making sure your pool enclosure is added to your policy and there will be no issue at claim time. That happens a lot. So call your friendly agent at Italiano Insurance to review your policies today. 813-877-7799 or italianoinsurance.com.
Well, it's that time of year to renew or shop your health insurance provider, and you can get great health insurance for $20, $30, $50 a month. Just call 888-325-0605 to help navigate the health insurance marketplace. 1 out of 3 people in Florida are uncovered because they think they can't afford it. Not true. I made the call a couple of years ago, and they helped me get Blue Cross Blue Shield coverage, Florida Blue, for just $20 a month. Last year, it went up to $49. Oh, well. It all depends on your income and your family situation. It's a free call, 888-325-0605. They will ask for some income information. So if you have your tax returns available, that will be great, but you don't need it. They'll just answer some simple questions, and the highly trained reps will do the work for you to find out what your subsidy will be. 888-325-0605. And if you have a plan through your employer, you may be able to get it cheaper. It's a free call, so find out, folks. This has been a lifesaver for me and saved me thousands of dollars over the last few years, and you can choose your plan. It's a no-brainer. Find out. Make the free call. 888-325-0605. Get covered like me and thousands of others. 888-325-0605. The PGA Tour is back. The Valspar Championship returns to Innisbrook March 16th to the 19th with 4 days of great golf action and a host of fun activities that make it Tampa Bay's hottest spring sports ticket. Every tournament day offers something different. On Friday, we'll celebrate St. Patrick's Day with the wearing of the green. Saturday means Valspar Live, where tournament patrons will be able to enjoy country music superstar Darius Rucker with a free 90-minute show after the conclusion of play. And on Sunday, we're going to crown a champion. You don't want to miss it. Everybody will be there. Tickets on sale now at ValsparChampionship.com for all tournament days, both grounds and premium ticket options. You don't want to miss it. The 2023 Valspar Championship. Hey, guys, it's a new year, so are you looking for a new you to lose weight, lean up? There are many diets and chiropractors and weight loss clinics out there, but you know where to start? Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Chris Lugo, PA, and his professional staff will devise a personal plan for you that gets results and help you keep the weight off. Everybody metabolizes food and supplements differently, and many of these other approaches are designed for the masses, the quick weight loss, but it doesn't stay off, right? Chris will spend one-on-one time with you to find out what works best for you, so the weight comes off safely without use of drugs that only work temporarily. So call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. And Chris will join us each Monday at 11:45 to talk about your wellness and the significant injuries to athletes in the sports world. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com.
Pure sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, it's Super Bowl week. It doesn't even feel like Super Bowl week, does it? Doesn't really. We're brought to you by the great folks at the Jeeves Law Group. If your car has been totaled and you don't think you got what you deserved in your settlement, they will help you out. So go ahead and give them a call. Go to JeevesLawGroup.com. Contact them through the website. Tell them JP sent you. They do all kinds of things over there. If you're hurt in an accident, very aggressive attorneys. If you got homeowners claims, class action lawsuits, anything legal, the Jeeves Law Group is the place to go. Those folks are absolutely very aggressive against insurance companies and whoever's picking on you. So go to the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. We'll have Scott Jeeves on coming up in the next couple of weeks, and we'll always love chatting with him about various things. But yeah, it just doesn't feel like a whole lot of Super Bowl to me. I don't know why. I was watching a lot of coverage of it last night. Obviously, no real news coming out.
I'm more worn out of the whole I don't know. There's been like so many different media days going on. I feel like
Yeah.
it's a lot to digest a little
There used
bit.
to be
I'm
one,
ready for the game,
and it was crazy. And now it's like every day.
I'm ready for the game now. I mean, Sunday morning will come around. I'll be ready to go. But in general, like when you have 2 weeks like going up to it, like I grow like a very like fatigued, I guess, of all the talk and everybody talking about is Mahomes going to be this and Mahomes going to be, and then we're talking about is Jalen Hurts done enough to warrant another contract and all this stuff. Like I'm past all this kind of talk.
Yeah.
I'm ready for the game.
Yeah, and I so many of the sidebar things
it's really the sidebar conversations that get me.
Yeah.
Like I promised you Patrick Mahomes will be okay.
Yeah.
He'll be okay.
He's not going to be 100%.
He'll be just fine.
Yeah.
He'll be just fine. I can promise you
Brandon Graham lands on him.
I can promise you that Jalen Hurts will have a contract as the Eagles quarterback of the future.
You think?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know if we had to have that discussion going forward.
Yeah.
We don't. And by the way, Chris Sims, yes, he is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Please stop saying that he's not. I hate those discussions as well.
The game is changing so much from the quarterback position. I think a lot of these analysts, and I love Chris to death. We haven't been in touch lately, but when he was here, we were in touch a lot, and I think he's great. I think sometimes he's prone to a little bit of hyperbole because I think he feels he gets lost in the shuffle with all the different voices that are out there. You got to say something crazy every now and then.
This is what it was. This is why I'm really tuned out of the talk this week, actually. And I shouldn't be giving him attention, but Skip Bayless had a tweet yesterday hyping up his next segment on Undisputed. And it said, "Tune in now as I explain why I'm not sold yet on Patrick Mahomes." That was a real tweet from Skip Bayless yesterday. Yeah.
See,
that's the stuff I can't deal with anymore.
If you're getting clickbaited on that and you're going, I got to go over there. Shame on you. Shame on you.
It makes me
shame on you.
There's just zero argument you could make for that point.
Just shame on you. That encapsulates the dude's whole career. I'm going to say something stupid and outrageous, and you're going to run to the television to listen to it and then hate me. Like, I guess if that's the way you want to live your life, good on you.
Also, Shannon Sharp can basically just berate him across the table.
Yeah. There's nothing less I want to do with my time than watch those two. I mean, yell at each other. It's the dumbest thing ever.
Who was it that said, Kurt? Was it Kurt Warner that said, who decided that yelling at each other on TV with no practical points and information is what we want now?
This is what great analysts do. Yeah. If you follow Kurt Warner, he's got some great life advice for people on a daily basis. He really does.
Yeah.
And he doesn't just talk all about football, and he's very real. He is a great follow.
That's why I enjoy the analysts who have played the game and can back it up with facts and experience. Like I was watching this debate yesterday, because obviously everybody was talking about LeBron and Jordan yesterday.
Yeah.
And Stephen A said that LeBron's not the greatest scorer of all time. It's Jordan, and he made all these points. Well, JJ Redick's not afraid.
No, he is not.
Basketball, he's to me the best basketball guy they have on TV.
Because he is unafraid.
He's unafraid, and for 10 minutes straight, he went at Stephen A and brought facts to the table and explanations. And I mean, Stephen A didn't know what to say. I love guys who do that kind of stuff.
And he's played the game. There's a great sense of how do you not say LeBron? Look, Michael Jordan was greater for a shorter period of time. For LeBron to have done it over 20 years like this is sensational.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable, and it has to be accounted for. If you're going to ask me who the greatest scorer I ever saw play, most unstoppable player, it's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah, that's what Mad Dog said. It's
Lou
Kareem.
Alcindor.
Yeah.
You threw it into the post and he skyhooked you and you had no choice. You had no chance. You can't block it. You can foul him and he's going to go to unlike Shaq, he went to the line and made his free throws.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar having 38,000 whatever points with no 3-point shot.
Exactly. I mean, are you kidding me? He was unstoppable. Get it into the post. And not only this is why he won all the time. You had to collapse. And then if there was a 3-point shot, his team never would have lost because that was an unstoppable. And it absolutely is mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling to me that the greatest scorer in the history of the NBA had a strategic shot that he perfected. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And not one guy, not one 7-footer since then has taken the time to perfect the sky hook. And why? And tell me why, young man.
not the game anymore.
You look like a jackass, right? And they're too afraid to who's going to do this looping sky hook. It's unstoppable with a 7-foot wingspan. And he could do it up to 10 to 12
If you're
feet.
7 foot now, though, you're hanging most of the time. It's requiring, if you're really good in this league, it's requiring you to hang out by the 3-point line.
It's not requiring you to.
But that's what it is now.
Nobody has taken the time to perfect a move like that.
Yeah, and that's why I have an appreciation for his game. I have an appreciation for like Tim Duncan's game, which is not flashy at all. But my God, did it get the job done?
Hell yeah. Hell, you go back to Kevin McHale. Had some of Kevin McHale was a contortionist at 6'11" and this long dorky wingspan that he had. But that dude could move his feet and get in certain positions to scoop you, to lay it in, to float. He had a little hook, a little baby hook. He had more low post moves than I've ever seen. He was phenomenal. Olajuwon with the fadeaway, unblockable.
Yeah, it's the same thing with like Shaq.
We say, well, it's not a big man's game anymore because no big man take the time to develop a skill like that. They don't do it. Well, I mean, if you were Dwight Howard, and you played for the damn Lakers, Kareem was right there. You could have worked.
He got phased out of the game quickly because of the way the game changed.
Well, but he could have changed his game and remained relevant. Look at what Kareem. If Kareem came by, you don't think there's room for a guy like that? An automatic 2 points. I'm telling you, it's an automatic 2 points.
I think Embiid plays a version of that game.
Yeah.
He has a version of that game, but
does.
Obviously he can go out and shoot the three as well and handle it because he's a freak.
Yeah. Yeah, he does. But it's shocking to me that nobody's done it. And since we'll hold Solomon here for a little bit, since we're rolling on the NBA a little bit here.
The NBA is interesting now.
So Durant gets, in case you missed it, I was up last night watching this live. Durant gets shipped to the Phoenix Suns, who now have Devin Booker. Is he back from injury?
Yep.
Booker, Durant, CP3, and Ayton.
Yeah.
Who's beating them?
Certainly not betting anyone to beat them.
And then, Woj just tweeted out that Kyrie might go to Phoenix. I don't know.
It was Windhorse.
Windhorse
said, if you think this is done, it's not done. Kyrie has wanted to go to Phoenix, so just chew on that a little bit is basically what he said.
And he also said, what did Kyrie say after the game last night?
He said, I'm glad that KD got out of there.
He also said, now I can spend more time with him.
Now I can spend more time with him
in the West.
Which is so odd.
Which is weird because maybe he already knows he's going to Phoenix.
That would be.
So what would Dallas get back? Ayton and CP3?
It would be Ayton and CP3. And I mean, they just traded all their picks away and they traded all the depth that they had away. Is that enough to land Kyrie, Ayton, and CP3?
Well, if you're Dallas, it's not making your team. Well, for this year,
CP3 to me is a big drop off from Kyrie Irving. And he's
not
way
only
older.
that, I mean, CP3's value is his distribution from the point guard position and his scoring.
But he's lost a step this year.
And that's Luka's. Luka does that. He's ball dominant. He's the point guard. He runs the offense. So you would lose any real value that you get in the playmaking from CP3. And he's not he's certainly not a dominant scorer anymore. He can be at times, but this year has been, what is he, 38 now?
Who?
CP3.
He's not that quiet. I think he's like 36, 37.
Yeah. So, I don't know what you'd get back, but anyway, as it stands right now, nobody's beating them. And by the way, Brooklyn, what are you doing in that experiment? And I'll remind everybody that the day they put that thing together, I said that ain't working, and that was with Harden first, right?
With Harden, yeah.
Yeah, I said none of that's working. Oh, they're going to win 10 championships. They're not going to win squad.
They won one playoff series.
They're not. I knew it then. You can't put that many egos together and put nothing. You got to have role players.
How about we just acknowledge this whole idea of the super team?
It's
Can
gone.
we just acknowledge this real quick?
It's done.
And I'm going to give LeBron James. And I'm going to give LeBron James his flowers. What other super team that has tried to emulate the original super team of LeBron James, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade has worked?
Wasn't the Celtics?
Which one?
Super team.
Okay, and it worked.
It worked.
Whatever.
It worked.
But save those two, which we're so many years removed from now.
Right.
Which one has worked out? And don't give me Golden State because they were already winning before Kevin Durant.
That's a homegrown team.
That's a homegrown team.
They won championships before Durant got
And don't give me Kawhi Leonard. That was one person added to a homegrown team.
Look, it's homegrown now that is winning in this league, and I'm glad to see it. because nobody wanted to see the super team BS continue.
None of this stuff's going to work. In fact, you can tell. In fact, actually, the more you tell me about this whole thing with the Suns, who's going to beat them? I bet they won't win. I bet they won't. Something's going to go wrong because you know what? When Kevin Durant's in certain situations, something seems to always go wrong with the certain guys.
Golden State.
Okay, well, Golden State is like.
See, and that's
a different animal.
And I see I see Booker as Booker is Steph, Ayton is Draymond, right?
I don't think Ayton's that
Durant
good,
is Durant. Durant can be Clay, and who am I forgetting? CP3 is Jordan Poole. I don't know. I'm going back to the championship team. Who else do they have? I think that group though. I don't think Durant he's not as crazy as Kyrie, but he's shown that he can fit in when he needs to in Golden State.
Look at the team. I will say though, if you look at the standings right now, the Nuggets right now are far and away the number one team in the West. I love the Nuggets. I do. They got the pieces, but
they do, and I love the way they play. I
love everything about the Nuggets. Do I trust them though? And how about this? They're under 500 away. That's not good for the playoffs.
No.
And then the next two teams, great stories, the Grizzlies and the Kings.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but the Grizzlies and the Kings are not winning the championship. They ain't there yet.
Ja is special.
And then you got Dallas. We'll see how that goes. The Clippers, to me, just continue to disappoint me. I feel like they'll never reach their full potential.
You lost to Dallas last night.
They haven't reached their full potential. And then the Pelicans, bleh. The Timberwolves, bleh. If Golden State gets into the playoffs, then Golden State, to me, would go right at the top because they're battle-tested.
Yeah, but there's something wrong with that team. There's just something wrong with it. It's just not – it's not right. It's not right. They keep talking about not winning on the road. They can't win on the road. Something's missing from them.
Hey, Lonnie Wilkins, you're sitting here. He said, I'm sitting here today watching my Chicago Bulls annoy me with whatever move they make. We can't have anything good in Chicago. You better buckle up because Russell Westbrook is going to be a Chicago Bull. Book it right now.
He ain't playing for Utah.
He ain't playing for Utah. They're going to buy him out, and you're going to have Russell Westbrook in your life. So you have that to look forward to, Lonnie.
A couple other comments coming in here. James says salary cap rises every year. That's right, JP. We have all these GMs that want the Bucks to pay it back now. There's no need to. That's what I'm talking about. There's no need to pay this credit card bill now. Trust me, I'm the king of that. Push it down the road as far as you can. You never know what's coming down the road. You might be dead in a year. Who knows? When you die, make sure that all those credit cards are maxed out. So take that trip to Ireland. So yeah, I mean, the salary cap is going to be going up 20, 25 million every year. Yeah. And if you got a division you can win, hell yeah, you push it down the road. Keep pushing. Absolutely. There's no need to pay the bill now. There's just no need to do it, especially when you got a core group of players that can go out and win a division. And if you can bring in a quarterback. So absolutely. People keep forgetting that. Oh, we got to get under the cap. No, we don't. Not until March 1st. And the more we can push down the road, you keep pushing.
With that being said, though, let's not get too crazy because I'll address these. The Bucs are not trading for Lamar Jackson.
No.
And no, they're not trading for Aaron Rodgers.
No. Those contracts are going to be onerous in terms of being able to field a team around them. I'm still waiting. That dynamic doesn't work. When have we seen a quarterback that makes I think there's a number out there. If it's more than 22% of the salary cap, no quarterback has won a Super Bowl in the last 20 years, or maybe there's one that takes up more than like 20, 22 or 23% of the salary cap.
And I feel like Mahomes will probably end up being the exception to that rule.
Well, Mahomes' deal was undervalued. I know it was 500. But when you look at the deal, like his cap hit this year is like what, 32 million or something, which sounds like a lot until you realize the cap keeps going up. And some of these other guys are 40, 50, 60 million dollars.
Yeah, like the Bills when they get strapped with Josh Allen's cap hit.
Yeah,
they're done.
Yeah, so
they missed their window.
Yeah, 450 million for Mahomes, but so much of that is it's a very, when you break it down, it's very team friendly.
His cap hit is 35.7 this year. Next year goes to 46, and it hovers around the 40s. The only year that it gets really exorbitant is 2027 when it goes to 59.95.
And that the salary cap that year is probably going to be 275.
And by the way, listen, he's worth it.
Of course he is.
He's worth it.
But the fact that they were smart to move off of Tyreek Hill. You know,
Clearly.
if you're paying your quarterback this much, you can't pay a receiver $30 million.
No.
You can't. Look at what's going on with the Saints and Michael Thomas you mentioned earlier. So, yeah, it's still a salary cap league, and the smart quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes are not strapping their team with $50, $60 million cap hits like Aaron Rodgers did, and then complaining about the fact you don't have receivers. Duh. So the Bucs have to be cognizant of that. I want them to go out and get Derek Carr. But if Derek Carr is asking for $60 million a year, I don't want Derek Carr.
He would never
I don't
ask
want
for
Derek
$60
Carr.
million.
And I think he's smarter than that. I think Derek Carr wants to win. I think he wants to win now. He knows his window is open right now. He's still a good, athletic young quarterback. Maybe not young, but
in the sense of NFL quarterbacks, now he's young. I think he just wants to be in a situation where there's no drama.
Yeah.
He doesn't want any drama. He's been around too much noise and garbage and BS the last 9 years. He just wants to be somewhere where there's no drama. And honestly, historically, before Brady got here, this is not a knock on Brady. I'm just saying because when Brady comes, the media scrutiny comes with it. With him gone, Tampa Bay to me is going to go back to being more, not irrelevant, but it's going to be less out of the eye.
Right.
It's a lot better, in my opinion, than being in like Las Vegas, where it's, it's a blue blood of the NFL. There's a lot of pressure.
Right.
To me, there's not as much pressure.
Crazy
in Tampa.
organization.
There's not nearly enough amount of pressure there is in Tampa Bay now.
No, absolutely. Media's much more tame here. So, yeah. All right, we got to take a break, and then we'll get to Solomon. So, quick break. We'll come back on the other end. Solomon Wilcots from XM Sirius NFL Radio. We'll hear from him. He's got some great takes on Brady this year, what's next for him, his broadcast career, all that stuff. Good stuff with Solomon Wilcots coming up next. Stay with us. Hey, folks, it's still engagement season, and where better to get that special ring than the Gold and Diamond Source? The Gold and Diamond Source has the largest selection of engagement rings in the country, a literal jewelry super center with 30 times the inventory of any normal jeweler. You don't have to wait to spend any extra time waiting for them to bring something in. They have everything right there in-house, so why go anywhere else? And you can get up to 15% off this January if you buy something with the birthstone, which is garnet. Garnet and Gold, Florida State, get something for your favorite Seminole. And let's not forget the Emily collection from Emily Johnson Weintraub. Very affordable, real gold and diamond jewelry, always stylish and unique. Emily has created this fashion-forward gold, diamond, and gemstone jewelry line ideal for everyday wear. Each piece is designed to enhance your look by featuring eye-catching, modern, geometrical shapes. Really unique stuff. Got to check it out. And, of course, Julie and Steve Weintraub, great benefactors here in the local community. So let's keep it local. And you can get 0% financing for up to 5 years. Get a big ring for a little price. It's the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. The PGA Tour is back. The Valspar Championship returns to Innisbrook March 16th to the 19th with 4 days of great golf action and a host of fun activities that make it Tampa Bay's hottest spring sports ticket. Every tournament day offers something different. On Friday, we'll celebrate St. Patrick's Day with the wearing of the green. Saturday means Valspar Live, where tournament patrons will be able to enjoy country music superstar Darius Rucker with a free 90-minute show after the conclusion of play. And on Sunday, we're going to crown a champion. You don't want to miss it. Everybody will be there. Tickets on sale now at ValsparChampionship.com for all tournament days, both grounds and premium ticket options. You don't want to miss it. The 2023 Valspar Championship.
Pure sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. We thank y'all for watching. We are now available on RHS TV, Red House Streaming TV. That is an app that you can download on Roku, Amazon Fire, any of those streaming services where you can download apps, download RHS TV. We've got not only our show, but a bunch of other great shows, the Serena Fazan Network, the Lighter Side of Sports was the show I do with Serena, where we look at a bunch of crazy videos and have some fun with that and just look at the lighter side of sports. We got some great guests we bring on, so check that out. It's RHS TV, and we're getting lots of views on RHS TV now that we've gone global. So direct to your TV. If you're watching at home, you're watching on a little screen, just download RHS TV, and you can watch the show each and every day. And all of our episodes are also cataloged there, so it's kind of like YouTube except better. And you can watch it on your big TV there. So we're branching out. We're getting into lots of different platforms. So glad to do it, and we're glad our numbers are going up and watching them go up each and every day. And thanks to our sponsors as well, all the great folks, Golden Diamond Source, American Mortgage Services. Rates are coming down. Get Scott Fitzgerald, who's heading out to Vegas for Super Bowl weekend. He'll be having fun out there. I told him take the Eagles. So Scott at amstampa.com, he will help you get a mortgage. So thanks to all of our sponsors. All right, had a chance to talk to Solomon Wilcots yesterday, recorded this interview from the Super Bowl. Solomon out there with XM NFL Radio. So here is our conversation from yesterday. All right, we want to welcome in from the Super Bowl out there in Phoenix, the great Solomon Wilcots. We had you on all last year. We missed you a little bit this year, partner. We love your insight. Thanks again for coming on. How are you, my friend? You're looking great.
JP, hey, I'm doing great. And look, I remember better times. You and we sort of chronicled Tom Brady and the Bucs round up to a Super Bowl championship. And now he's retired. I can't even believe it's real. In fact, I'm pinching myself to make sure it's true.
Well, I don't know. The last time I heard him on his podcast on Monday night, he sounded like he's leaving the door open. And you know what I always say, don't listen so much to what people say. Look at what they do. And he's not going into the booth this year. He's not going until 2024. So what's he going to do next year during football season? I wonder. I mean, I think he's done. He should be done. I watched him play all year up close. It was a rough season for him. I don't want him to come back and play. Do you?
No, and look, I think what's first and foremost, we talk about work-life balance. I think it's safe to say that there was some imbalance there, and I think he's working to get things back into alignment. I think his role as a father in his family life, I think that's something that he wants to take some time to work on, and I think we've got to give him the space to be able to do that. I've seen a number of players try to transition from their years of chasing trophies and chasing and building their legacy to then having to find a purpose for living once they're no longer playing the game. And let's face it, he's got a lot of things on his plate that he can do to be productive, but I do think he's got to find time for family while at the same time pursuing some of his off-the-field aspirations. And we got to give him the time and space to be able to do that.
I think that's a great point here, and it actually kind of goes right in a nice segue into who's bringing us you here. It's Medela Springs Healthcare. Composure is something new, and it's about stress in America is at an all-time high, and I feel it, and I could use some of this stuff. Tell me a little bit about Composure and from Medela Springs Healthcare.
Well, thank you, JP. And yeah, I'm here from Medela Springs Healthcare. And I can tell you right now, when it comes to dealing with stress, I've worked in broadcasting for over 25 years. And I've worked for a lot of the major networks, from ESPN to Fox Sports to CBS Sports. I've worked and lived over in London, working for Sky Entertainment and Sky Sports, covering the NFL. I've covered Major League Baseball. I covered college basketball at the highest level, even at the Final Four. And, for so many years, you get to traveling and you're living in airports and in hotels. And I got to the point where stress became so much a part of my life that when I would get on airplanes, I would start sweating. I would start to have an anxiety attack. And I had to look for some healthier ways to be able to deal with stress. I didn't want to have to turn to pharmaceutical drugs, and any of that kind of medication. So I was looking for a healthy way of dealing with it. Composure is a phenomenal product. It's an all-natural product by Medela Springs Healthcare, and it really has helped me to be able to go back to flying and traveling. And when I board an airplane now, I can feel comfortable. I mean, I'm the kind of guy that has to sit to the front of the plane. I have to sit in an aisle seat. I still have to do some of those things, but with Composure, I can minimize my stress, feel more comfortable, and go about my daily life and not have to worry about having this anxiety attack.
Okay, well, send me some of that stuff. Right?
Right?
Use it, no doubt, in this world we live in. So back to Brady, and I got to tell you, I don't think he's ever going to make it to the broadcast booth. You know what it takes.
Yeah.
It's not, you don't show up on Friday for the production meetings and go in there and do it. It's a Monday through Sunday, right? This is not something that even Tom Brady, as smart as he is, and he's going to want to be as great as he can be. It's a commitment. It's a big time commitment, even for $37 million. And I don't think he has to worry about money. I don't think then he has to change his entire persona and be more critical of people. I don't know if he can do that. And then he's got all his other businesses and his kids and everything. And here's the other thing, Solomon, but I don't think he's going to go in. The Peyton Mannings of the world, the Elways of the world, the Marinos of the world, they never really went into broadcasting, and I don't know if Tom is. I don't see it as a fit. What do you think?
I think it's going to be a challenge. I think what the things you pointed out talks and speaks to the fact that it's not just an easy transition. It's not just an easy thing to do. Because think about this. Say you're Kyle Trask, right, for example, or a young quarterback breaking into this league. And Tom Brady has to give an analysis. His analysis sometimes has to be a critical analysis. Now, you and I both know if it's coming from the GOAT, like it could be a crushing blow to that individual. It could be a crushing blow to the parents and why they should have thick skin. It's coming from Tom Brady, who critiqued my read of that play or my poor throw that led to interceptions. I know he's going to try to be as positive as he can be because he is naturally a positive person. But there's got to be times also in order to tell viewers and listeners exactly what's going on, that analysis is going to have to be critical. And some people are going to kill him because they're thinking he's being negative. And because it came from Tom Brady, look, if you and I criticize someone, people just blow it all out. What does Solomon do? Stuff? That's JP. He doesn't know it. It's coming from Tom Brady. And you and I both know certain people, they may have thick skin, but when it's coming from the greatest of all time, now they start to think, well, maybe if Tom Brady said I suck or that I'm horrible, right? That requires a deeper introspective. And so I think that's something that he's going to have to calibrate, something he's going to have to be prepared for.
Yeah, Kyle will have to take some composure after getting that.
That's right. That's
sure.
right.
No doubt.
That's right. And oh, by the way, I want to say this, JP. If you need to know where you can go to get your bottle of Composure, just go to the website at composure.com. That's calm, CALM, posure.com. And don't forget to enter the code, because if you buy one, you get one free if you use the code touchdown through the month of February. So you want to go on there right away. And if you buy one, you get another one for free.
I love that. Thank you very much for that. We'll do that. All right. And you also do the morning show on Sirius XM for the NFL network there. And tell me a little bit about what you saw from the Bucs this year. Byron Leftwich gets fired, maybe a little bit of a scapegoat. There were a lot of things going on here. Obviously, Tom was not at his best mentally, emotionally. What did you see from the Bucs this year, especially their offense that was just dysfunctional, right?
Look, I saw an offense that became more one-sided. It lacked any kind of threat of a run game. Mm-hmm. They had the fewest rush attempts per game than any other team in the National Football League. Tom Brady threw the ball more than any other quarterback in the NFL. 733 pass attempts, by far the most of his entire 23-year career during one season. And when you become one-sided like that, it allows teams to pin their ears back and come after your aging quarterback. You don't have to even pretend they're going to run the football. And in fact, when you go with play action pass, no one has to honor the play fake because they know that by the metrics, you're throwing on every single down. And what it does also, you put more on your quarterback, more on his plate. And I've always said that the quarterback position is the most reliant position in the NFL. In other words, the quarterback has to rely on more people to do his job than any other position. But so why would you not rely on the run game to help the quarterback move the ball down the field? Why wouldn't you do these other things to help your aging quarterback? Tom is still pretty good, but the older you get, the more help you need. Yeah. And this offense resembled one that said, look, let's go all in on Tom Brady. If he can't complete the pass, if he can't create a first down, if he can't get us the touchdown, then no one else can. And you and I both know that's not what Bill Belichick did. That's not what Bruce Arians did. That's not what Tom Moore would do. And I'm not saying that was all on Byron Leftwich. I think Tom wanted to throw it. Yeah. But I think that's where coaches have to come in and say, hey, Tom, while it's good to allow you to generate offense. Allow us as coaches to design an offense around you that will help you best.
Yeah. Solomon Wilcox joining us here from the Super Bowl, brought to you by Composure. So tell me about where you think the Bucs should go now. Should they tear it down to the studs and rebuild, or with a winnable division, because clearly it is, do you now just go out and try to get a Derek Carr, who I know is visiting with the Saints? I know the Bucs are very interested in Derek Carr, or a Jimmy Garoppolo, or an experienced quarterback that you can bring in here with Evans and Godwin and some of the weapons that you have, and just continue a good defense and go win this division. It's very winnable. Get into the playoffs and see what happens. I think that's the way the Bucs should go. What do you see?
I think the money is going to drive it, JP. If you take a look, $29 million over the salary cap. That's the projected number. It's hard to build a team if you don't have that money within the budget to acquire players. And first of all, keep the players you have.
Yep.
They're going to have to trim some serious payroll first. And then now can you pay Derek Carr $40 million? And if you pay him, can you pay to keep, some of the other guys around like Mike Evans, Chris Godwin?
Yep.
And then what kind of offensive line are you going to build in front of the quarterback after losing pieces from last year? What kind of run game are you going to build? Who are you going to be able to keep on defense? I love what Todd Bowles said in reality, that you want to retool, not rebuild. But you and I both know you got to have the budget to be able to do it. The dollars dictate what kind of team you can build around the quarterback. And so if you go out and get a rookie, a young quarterback, you're probably better off rebuilding. If you bring in a veteran quarterback, he's going to eat up a huge chunk of your salary cap, and it's going to be hard to build around him. So I think the credit card bill is due, to be honest with you. And I think they're going to have to take care of that first before they determine how they're going to rebuild this football team.
Yeah, they've got some restructures they can do to create some cap room, and they're going to get rid of some guys that maybe are just overpaid. So I think they could do it. They could fit him under the cap. But yeah, that would definitely strap up. But I don't think when you tank, even when you tank, or whatever you want to call it,
you don't want to do that.
You're never guaranteed to get that pick, and that pick is never guaranteed to be a good player. So you got to go that way. All right, before you leave me, what do you see in this Super Bowl game? I like the Eagles. I think their pass rush is ridiculously good. Mahomes' ankle, I think, is an issue with that pass rush. And I love Jalen Hurts as a winner. And I think this team is the Eagles are just too good on both sides of the ball, especially up front. I'm going with the Eagles. What do you got?
I tell you, I'm leaning in that direction. This Eagles team, if you go by every single position, you're going to check the box with them. They're 70-plus sacks. This is the best production when it comes to hurrying and harassing the quarterback since we've seen from a team like the 85 Chicago Bears, right? But surprisingly so, the Kansas City Chiefs, they have the best pass block win rate of 76%, the best of any offensive line in the National Football League. They protect their quarterback very well. And the two boxes that you just simply have to check off in favor of the Chiefs, coaching with Andy Reid, quarterbacking with Pat Mahomes. Let's face it. So I really do believe that there is a margin of victory for the Kansas City Chiefs if they can get out to a fast start and get the lead and force the Eagles to play from behind. I can tell you right now that takes the Eagles out of what they want to do, is dominate the line of scrimmage with the RPO run game. That plays well for Jalen Hurts. Most teams don't have the discipline to stick with the run game if they fall behind early in games and chasing points on the scoreboard. So I think the pathway to victory is slim for the Chiefs. I'm leaning toward the coaching quarterback combination, and so I'm going to take the Chiefs by 3 points in this one.
Oh, Solomon, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? We're going to do some breakdown of the game tomorrow. I'm going to sleep on my pick. You sleep on your pick?
I'm going to sleep on my pick.
Saw a great graphic yesterday on SportsCenter, and this is one of the reasons I like the Eagles. You've had the number one passing game, number one offense against the number one pass defense twice in the Super Bowl. Bucks Raiders, blowout Bucks, and then Broncos Ravens, blowout Ravens. Was it Ravens?
Oh, Seahawks.
Yeah, blowout. As I recall. Yeah, so that The defense wins in these situations. And when you got an injured quarterback.
Yeah, I will give you this, though, about Kansas City. It's like one of the wildest stats I've seen. In their last 32 games, they have either won outright or lost by just 4 points or less in 32 consecutive games.
Yeah.
So I hear a lot of people
Does that go
saying,
back to the Super Bowl?
I don't.
That's the last time they've been.
That means that's the last time they've been beat decisively. So for anybody that thinks that the Eagles just going to walk in because they have better players at every position, I don't know. This team to me is just a different animal. Kansas City, that is. I don't know if I know the Bucs did it right, but they had the blueprint because they had the huge mismatch offensive defensive line to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, Solomon kind of just said it there. This is almost strength versus strength there at the biggest position of strength for the Eagles.
And the quarterback coaching matchup is decidedly
a landslide.
Decidedly on the side of the Chiefs. But I like my Jalen Hurts, though. I like that kid. I just think he's a natural born leader. It's a great story, and the NFL scriptwriters will eat it up. I just hate the Eagles fans. Ugh, yuck, yuck. All right, our thanks to Bobby the Chief Taylor, who joined us today, and Solid Wilcox. If you missed anything, you can always go back on our app, FanStream Sports. Download the app. You can listen to the show anytime, anywhere. Just tap that app. Also on RHS TV. Download the RHS TV app now. You can watch us on your TV. Also on YouTube and Twitter and Facebook, and always at FanStreamSports.com. We'll be back tomorrow with our Super Bowl preview. Have a great day, everybody.